All right, greetings, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today at the conference Freedom Has a Name, and it's called Ukraine. My name is Valerie Smyan, and I'm so honored to greet you here and welcome you here at the Rayburn House Office Building in the United States Capitol Complex in Washington, D.C. This is actually the place where voices of freedom have echoed for generations, and where today we raise our voices once more for a nation that embodies the very essence of courage and freedom, Ukraine. Today we gather not as Democrats, not as Republicans, not as members of one faith or another, but as people of conscience, united in our conviction that freedom is not negotiable, that sovereignty is sacred, and that the brave people of Ukraine must never stand alone. Over the next 3 hours, you will hear from members of the State Department and members of Ukrainian Parliament, rabbis and military leaders, humanitarians and advocates, all united by one simple truth: Ukraine's fight is a freedom's fight. It is our special honor for us today to acknowledge that veterans of Ukraine's war are present with us today in the room. Those who have courageously defended Ukraine's freedom, our dear heroes, we extend to you our deepest respect and appreciation. And this conference, Freedom Has a Name, and it's called Ukraine, is made possible through the vision and tireless work of Pastor Mark Burns, a globally recognized spiritual leader, a spiritual advisor to President Donald Trump, and the chairman of Spiritual Diplomats, a global initiative committed to leveraging moral authority and faith-based leadership to address the world's most pressing crisis. Pastor Mark Burns received Ukraine's Order of Merit Third Class from the President of Ukraine, Zelensky, in Sofia Square in Kyiv. Pastor Burns have been unwavering advocate for Ukraine, traveling to Ukraine, meeting with its leaders, and working tirelessly to ensure that America supports Ukraine in its fight for the very values upon which United States of America was founded. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to welcome Pastor Mark Burns.
Wow. Well, first of all, give yourselves a big hand clap for being here, because you're telling the world you stand for freedom. I said give yourself a big hand clap because you're telling the world you stand for freedom. Freedom has a name, and it's called... Freedom has a name, and it's called Ukraine. It's called Ukraine. That's why we're here. We're here because people are dying. People are freezing. Mr. Mayor, so happy to see you again. Power is out. And it is no time to have champagne. This is no time to have drinks, cocktails. It is no time to pat ourselves on the back, while men and women of Ukraine are right now dodging drones that are hovering over them every single day, while little children are being killed just to go to church, while women have been raped by the evil, vicious military called Russia, led by an evil man called Vladimir Putin. Here, here. This is no time to congratulate ourselves.
That's right.
When I talk to the president, I remind the president constantly of how the evil atrocities that are happening. We're going to hear from some of them today, right here. Of a parliamentarian member of Congress, Ukrainian congresswoman. It's going to be here. Yuli is going to teach to us. Going to tell us exactly what's happening on the ground. We may sit back and read reports about it, but some of these people that are here today are living it every single day. We are not here to celebrate. We won't celebrate until there's a real peace agreement, long-lasting peace agreement with real security measurements to protect the sovereign nation called Ukraine. I can't hear nobody. I don't need you to be soft or quiet today. I'm telling you, I say it everywhere I go. Pretend like you're at a black church today, okay? And I need you to talk back to me. I got one person ready to go to the gates of hell. I got any real fighters here who are ready to say, we won't stop until the bombs stop dropping in Ukraine. I can't hear nobody. I can't hear nobody. That's why you're here. You're here because you're saying, I'm not choosing party sides. This has nothing to do about whether I'm a Democrat or a Republican. This has nothing to do about whether I'm called a liberal or a conservative. This has nothing to do about the left or the right. This has everything to do with the human right of a nation called Ukraine. Are y'all hear what I'm telling you? The people that we've asked to come here today, these leaders who are standing in the gap, and they are here they've been fighting this fight for a long time. When the president of Ukraine President Zelensky gave me a medal, I felt so ashamed. I felt ashamed. Felt like we haven't done anything. Let me say, I don't deserve this. So many people, the real heroes, some of you are in this room right now. You've been fighting this fight for years. You saw it coming. While people were quiet, while people were silent, you saw the maneuvers happening. You saw the spirit of the python begin to circle itself around the neck of Ukraine. And you were screaming, hollering from the mountaintop, and nobody was listening to you. Well, they're listening to you now. Okay. And we're going to do everything in our power to continue as spiritual diplomats. Yes, sir. To never become silent on the issues that are happening in the world. Amen. I don't care if MSNBC stops reporting about it. That's right. I don't care if CNN stops reporting about it. I don't care if it's popular today, because you understand politicians, they pick up things because it's popular for the moment, and then they put it back down when they don't need it anymore. People are dying right now in Ukraine.
Preach. Come on now.
Are y'all hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's why we're here.
Yes.
And I'm here to remind the media. I'm here to remind you. This message belongs to you.
Yes.
For those of you who are sworn in as spiritual diplomats, and some of you are in this room right now, you're in here because you're sworn in spiritual diplomacy. And I tell you, for those who, people ask all over, how do I get a pen? It's not a gift. It's not something we just give to people. It's a commitment. You swear in. You swear in. You take an oath that you are willing to stand for the voiceless. You will use your position of power and influence to speak for those that need an advocate.
Yes.
That's what you're swearing to. You're not swearing to a party. You're not swearing to allegiance to a person. You're swearing allegiance to an ideal of peace. That I don't care what color you are. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what your social status is. Whether you come from an Ivy League school or you got a GED like I did.
That's right. Come on.
I got God. I built a multi-million-dollar business, though, just so you know. Just for y'all who looking at me kind of sideways. Just so you know. Just so you know, God is faithful. God is good. God, he will do it.
He will.
But I'm telling you this, there are millions of people in Ukraine that's not getting that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I don't want, Mr. Ambassador, for us to celebrate each other. This ain't a time for joy. We will laugh, but it is a time to remember our brothers and sisters right now, Bishop, that are in the freezing cold in Kyiv right now. They are in the freezing cold in Bucha right now. Power outages are going out right now. President Zelensky would have been here, but he can't leave the people that are happening right now in Kyiv. I said, sir, you stay where you are. You be the inspiration where you are, because right now what's more important is that your people never lose hope. And I'm telling you right now, the people of Ukraine are not losing hope.
That's right. No, they're not.
But we need your help to continue to echo this message. That every camera you can get in front of, every interview you can do, anyone that will listen to you, talk about the message of Ukraine. Remind them that we here in America, we value our freedom. We believe in the red, the white, and the blue. We believe we are the home of the brave, the land of the free. Thank you. There's a clap there. Miss Mi Young, God bless you. All the hard work you're doing for Korea. She's a true spiritual diplomat. Korea is under attack right now, and there's a lot that's happening right now. The Republic of Korea is happening right now. China, and you do understand that Russia and China are in league together.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They're trying to strengthen their influence. They're trying to strengthen their influence. That's why President Trump went after Venezuela. I don't care if you believe it or not or like it or not. He wants to stop China from buying Russian oil, from Venezuela to be selling Russian oil to Russia. The less we stop Russia from buying oil, the more we slow down their war machine. It's that simple.
Yes.
It frustrates me when I hear people, oh, Trump is just selling people out. Why in the world we just took Maduro out of Venezuela? Why are we going out to Greenland? I don't care about your politics. I'm talking about the facts. I'm not here to promote one man's ideology. I understand that some may disagree how it's happening, but we're trying to stop Russia from planting submarines up there that's continuously funding the battle that's happening in Ukraine. Do you understand this? And if we don't, and if we don't stop Russia, they will continue to attack Ukraine. They will go after Georgia. They will go after Moldova. They will go after NATO. And here we are in World War III. That's what's at stake. That's when I say supporting Ukraine is America first. It is America first. Because if we don't stop them now, we will have to be forced to stop them with the American boys on the ground in Kyiv. The Baltic states, NATO. Are y'all listening to me?
Yes, sir.
This is bigger than some sermon. I'm not trying to give you no sermon. I'm trying to, for those who may not be educated, this was at stake. This is what's at stake. And many of you who are way more experts, Mr. Anderson, way more experts than I am. Mr. Michael, way more experts than I am. Been fighting this fight for a long time. And I pray that the information that they give you is to inspire you to constantly keep reminding why we are doing this, why we will not be silent, why we will never shut up, why we will continue to echo the message around the world. Why will we continue to remind you why we are making this fight, and why we're standing with Ukraine. And we're close. The president said to me a couple of days ago, we are very close. Literally said to me, he said, we almost got a deal. We almost got a deal. He said, we almost got a deal. But we're so close. Remind the people, we're very close. We're fighting hard. I don't care what it looks like on the news. Please hear me, my brothers and my sisters. And you are my brothers and my sisters. You are my brothers and my sisters. We may not agree with everything, but that's okay. That's okay. We don't have to agree on everything, but what we can agree on, we stand together. Are you hearing me? That's why spiritual diplomacy is working. Because it's together. It's a together action. It's a together action. You may look different from me. That's why I love all the spiritual diplomacy meetings. We just a bunch of rainbow people that come together. I love it. I love it. Come on, somebody say you love it, you love it, you love it. I love it. It's a rainbow of people that says, listen, we may disagree, we may not look the same, we may speak a different language, we may have a different social class, but in the end, we will all stand for something that all of us want, and it's a word called freedom. Somebody say yes to that. I could be a Jew and I want freedom. I could be a Muslim and I want freedom. I could be black and I want freedom. I could be white and want freedom. I could be female and desire freedom. I could be from a Christian and desire freedom. Are you hearing me? I could be from Africa and need freedom. It doesn't matter what race I am. It doesn't matter what color I am. It doesn't matter what my political affiliation is. Everybody that's alive on the green earth, we desire freedom. If you believe it, say yes to that. Freedom. Freedom. Yes, freedom. Freedom. And we got to remember Haiti, yes, Haiti, everyone, all of the country. Pakistan, yes. All of it, absolutely. Yes, freedom, that's right. Call it out, hell it out. That's what it was here for. Freedom. China needs freedom, yes. Iran needs freedom. North Korea needs freedom, that's right. But can't you? It needs freedom. And that's the point that I'm trying to make to you. That's why we're here. So I'm going to be done preaching. I'm done. I'm getting out the way because you got a lot of great speakers that are coming up. A lot of great speakers. I want to give a shout out to ALLATRA for helping to make this happen. Can we honor them? Marina, Miss Valerie, our boss. That's what we call her. Amen. Miss Olga, I think she's out there in the back. But everybody's working so hard to make these things happen. And so, again, just as not to be inspired, yes, but now what we're going to do with this inspiration, we're going to get to work. Right now, people are asking me, how do I get a spiritual diplomacy pen? Right? I don't have a lot of them today. I have some, but I'm just saying to you, there is a commitment that goes with it. And those who are willing to make that commitment, maybe by the end of this event, we can, for those that desire to be come and take on the oath of a spiritual diplomat, then we can swear you in. But we'll try our best to get to that. But it's a true commitment. I beg you. You understand? As I said to you before, yes, if you just want to take a picture, then I don't need you. I don't want you. If you don't want you. If you just want to put on social media and say I was here at the conference and just brag on social media, you keep your keyboard warrior yourself at home because we don't need you. But if you're a real fighter, you will go to the front lines. You will go to where we need to go. You may lose friends over it. You may not be popular because of it. But that's who we're looking for. And that's what we're going to continue to do for Ukraine. And you're going to hear from some great, amazing experts up here. I'm so grateful for each and every one of them that are here. Some flew a long way from Kyiv to be here, from Ukraine to be here. And so I'm going to get out the way. I want to hear from all of them. So I want you all to be inspired because they inspire me. And there's much work to do. Slava Ukraini.
So our next speaker brings a voice of ancient wisdom to the modern crisis facing Ukraine. Please help me welcome Rabbi Moshe Reuven Osman, Chief Rabbi of Kyiv and Ukraine.
Dear friends, thank you everybody that coming here. Thank you, Pastor Mike Burns, that you are a real patriot of Ukraine. And from the first time that I met you till now, you know, and God take you to the right place. I would like to say you that I asked to Pastor Mark Burns to come to Ukraine, and he agreed. He came, and he saw with his eyes what the Russian criminal regime made in Ukraine. It's Bucha, Irpin, Borodyanka. People was murdered there. I saw his heart was broken, and after this he talked. We have meeting with the religions representative, all religions in Ukraine, and they brought him truth. How many Ukrainian children was stole to Russia? How many religion buildings was destroyed? How many priests was killed? What Russia did in Ukraine? And his heart was. He decided to come back to America and to bring truth to here. That all people in America know truth. First of all, I would like to thank American people, and here in Congress, I would like to thank to Republicans and Democrats and President of the United States, Donald John Trump, for help that you stand with Ukraine. 4 years, terrible war. People died. Here, people died. I speak people, they tired. It's, how long is the war? But you have to know that people in Ukraine, and they not only tired, they are every day under the shelling, under the attacks, and now I come from the Ukraine, is freezing. Here is below 0 degrees. And people in Russia attacked the civil infrastructure, and people sitting in the buildings without heating, without light, without water, without an elevator work. And my volunteers come personally to the 20 floors to bring the old people water, to bring them food, to bring them warm clothes, and to evacuate people. When you see it, you understand immediately what is our prayer. I think people here, I was here today, it was prayer breakfast, people here pray, but now it's not enough. We have to pray, but when we see the people in the tragedy, we come them to save them. That's why I thank God that gave me opportunity to be in the right place in the right time. I'm from the first day of the war. I didn't left Ukraine. I could leave Ukraine, but I didn't left Ukraine. And I was a few times under the strong shelling and risked my life. And I proud that I knew volunteers and Christian volunteers that lost their lives in the beginning of the war, in the middle of the war, lost their lives to defend people. And thank the Ukrainian soldiers, heroic soldiers. That's the strong defense Ukraine that don't want to give up and to go to slavery, back to Soviet Union, back to Russia. I was born in Russia. I was born in Leningrad, as Putin was born, but he was KGB at that time. I was investigated by KGB, and that's why I know what's now the Russia. They say that would like to rebuild Soviet Union. And we as a Jewish people, we was in slavery in Egypt, slavery, and we escaped. God escaped us from Egypt, and Pharaoh wanted to take us back to Egypt, to slavery. The same thing that the Ukrainian people, the Russia, would like to take back them back to Soviet Union, to the slavery. They don't want. They want freedom, and the freedom name has name, and it's called Ukraine. And and. I think it's General Budanov say, no? Yes, yeah. General Budanov, now he's in negotiations, in a peace negotiation. And I would like to say a few words about Ukrainian children. And Pastor Mark Burns, remember that 20,000 then you see to the mass media, he usually say that 20,000 more, much more than 20,000 Ukrainian children they took to Russia, and they tried to that they forgot their identity, their culture, their language, their motherland. I, as a Jewish people, I remember the story that Russia did in 1827. that was the law, Tsar law, to take the Jewish children to the army for 25 years, and they took them from their homes, and they took them to the army, and they did all of the Tsar, the Russian Tsar soldiers, that they will forget their home, their language, their history, their religion, and that's the same thing Russia do now to Ukrainian people. I think that everyone in the world can, he was born free. That's why everyone can choose here who is with a religion, who is what he wants to do, and where he wants to live, and which language to speak. That's why I think that we have to thank God that we together, all good people, will in the right side, and the excess of evil, I call it Iran regime, that's with God help Donald Trump, and America will destroy a regime in Iran, North Korea, Russia, and another countries that kill people, that kill own people, don't allow them to be freedom. Thank you very much to Pastor Mark Burns to invite me. God bless you and all people here that stand with Ukraine. And I would like to, I continue to bring people to Ukraine. I ask people, please come to Ukraine, see by your eyes what's happened there. And I think here I have to be one. I just speak with one young businessman, Jordan Kestelman. I asked him and come to Ukraine and just begin to invest to Ukraine, invest just $6 million and wants to bring $1 billion invest into Ukraine and pay Ukraine. I would thank him. And Jordan, come. And today he say, yes, I continue to invest to Ukraine because I believe that Ukraine will be restored, will be good country, free country. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Ukraine.
Thank you. We are privileged to have with us a representative of the United States Department of State. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Christopher Anderson, who serves as the Cultural Attaché in the United States Department of State.
Hello, everyone. I feel a little nervous speaking after such a dynamic speaker. I am not a pastor. I'm a bureaucrat. I don't have the gift of gab that some people up here do. But I have been working on Ukraine since 2014 when I was there when Russia tried to claim to annex Crimea, and I have been there, and I've also worked on behalf of the U.S. government negotiating with the Russians where they tried to deny that Ukraine was a real country based on ridiculous claims about Polish nobility and ridiculous themes like that. I know how difficult it is to do this, and I know how tough the situation is. And in fact, I was just in Ukraine a couple of weeks ago with my boss, Assistant Secretary of State for Democracy, Human Rights and Labor, Riley Barnes. And we were there because we were trying to fulfill the president's commitment that we not forget these Ukrainian children and we bring them home.
Yes. That's right. Yes.
And we're approaching the fourth anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. But also, as I said, the war has been going on since 2014. And one of the most tragic aspects of the war is the systematic forced transfers and deportation of Ukrainian children. And when we were in Ukraine and we arrived on the holy day of Epiphany and we toured St. Michael's Church and we visited many faith leaders there, and they all told us the same thing. They were all praying for peace and they supported President Trump's efforts to bring a durable peace. And they also talked about the strong tradition of religious liberty and freedom in Ukraine, the strong tradition of freedom there, but also that the threats they were facing. But we also met many children who had returned from Russian occupation, and they told us some truly horrifying stories. And I just want to share a few of those stories with you. And the kids we met told us how under Russian occupation, they could not live, they could not be Ukrainian. They had to deny their existence as Ukrainians. They had to pretend to be Russians. They were not allowed to practice their faith as they wished, as they believed, and they could not speak their language. They could not be free, in other words. And we met with First Lady Zelenska, and she told us another story of a brother and a sister. And they were in Russian-occupied territories, and they were deported into Russia proper, and they were separated, this brother and sister, who have a family who want them, but they were separated. The boy was bullied and told his family didn't want him anymore, that Ukraine was full of Nazis, and was just bullied relentlessly, and he had tragically took his own life. The sister was unable to go to the funeral, and they then put her in an orphanage for children with behavioral difficulties. I will tell you, I would be disturbed too if I had to endure such horrific circumstances. And so they are keeping her in an orphanage in Russia, even though her family wants her back, and the Russian government is denying that effort. And then we also heard of another story who was living in occupation, and they refused to let him speak Ukrainian, and they were teaching him Russian and getting him ready to serve in the army. And then with the help of a group called Save Ukraine, he was able to escape and return to Ukraine where he could be free again. And there are well-documented reports that these children are subject to re-education, a phrase that is incredibly chilling and is in the line of Korea, Soviet Union, Iran, all those sorts of horrible states. And these children are blocked from contacting their families, and they are told lies that Ukraine does not exist. And then I also want to tell one more story that we heard about a family where they were removed from occupied territory and forced to go through filtration camp, another chilling word. And the father that we heard about had a Ukrainian tattoo, and the Russians tortured him and burned off the tattoo because it showed the symbol of Ukraine, and they didn't like that. And then the daughter was forced to live on her own, and she never saw the mother again. And we don't know what happened to her, but she considered herself a Ukrainian, and that was unacceptable to the Russians. Now, these are horrible stories, and these are not isolated. There's well-documented pattern and practice of this by the Russian government. But what we did note is the bravery of the Ukrainian people, and particularly these children, was truly inspiring. And we cannot forget those children, or we need to get them home. And so I just want to close by echoing President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump's promise. We are dedicated to guaranteeing the safe return of Ukrainian children to their families, and that is unwavering, and we'll do everything we can to bring them home. Thank you.
So now we turn to the voice from the front line of democracy, to a member of Ukrainian parliament. Please welcome a member of Parliament of Ukraine, Miss Yulia Yacek. Yulia, будь ласка.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear friends, today I stand here in front of you. I am not only a speaker. I am a voice of millions Ukrainians.
Friends, I prepared my speech in English with respect to you, so as to be a part of your community, and so that you would understand me. However, I decided to speak in Ukrainian precisely so that you could hear how our language sounds, so that you could hear vibrations of the Ukrainian heart and soul that Ukrainians are feeling right now. The big war in Ukraine has been going on for about 1,500 days. You see the news. You hear about how our cities are being bombed. You know how Ukrainian families are surviving in conditions of total cold, blackouts, and lack of water. But you no longer hear the voices of people from the occupation. People living in occupied Melitopol, Mariupol, Berdyansk, Tokmak, and my native Vasilivka that was occupied back in February 2022. I will tell you just a small story, one in a million, my own story of the war. I remember February 2022, the full-scale invasion, fierce battles, and the resistance of Ukrainian people to the enemy. It was fear, it was horror, it was shock. The roads were blocked. Stores and hospitals were shut down. There was no electricity, water, heat, or even communication. My team, volunteers, military personnel, and clergy helped people from the occupied territories and the combat zone to evacuate. It was a road of life under shelling. To those who stayed, we brought water, food, medical supplies, and power generators. But in 2023, Russian authorities banned entry and exit from the occupied territory. The occupiers forced Ukrainians who remained in their homes to obtain Russian passports. If you didn't get a passport, you would receive neither a pension, nor a job, or a salary. Your children wouldn't go to school, and you wouldn't get into a hospital. The Russian Occupation Authority created nearly 100 camps and torture centers for Ukrainians in the occupied territories. They shot entire families for having a Ukrainian flag on the balcony. They subjected military families to searches and torture, examined their phones, and ransacked their homes. They took away housing from those who left the occupied territories. They nationalized it. The Russian military used Ukrainian civilians as targets to learn to pilot drones on them and arrange safaris on elderly people. Rape was turned into a weapon not only against women, but also against children and even men. Torment, torture, starvation, electric shocks, broken bones, and even death have become the favorite pastimes of the Russian military. Almost 80% of civilian infrastructure, hospitals, and schools were destroyed and haven't been rebuilt to this day. In schools, they force children to sing the Russian national anthem and impose a new history, where Ukraine is the enemy and Russia is the liberator. But most children study secretly online, in Ukrainian schools, and continue learning their native language in their own schools. Because of the destruction of hospitals, people cannot receive proper medical care and are forced to travel to Melitopol or even Crimea. Therefore, they die on the way, even from minor injuries. Tens of thousands of Ukrainian children were abducted and brought to the territory of the Russian Federation illegally. They were placed in re-education camps. Today, I was asked, what freedom is to me? I showed you my own story so that in this single story, 1 in a million, you would see a human life, a traumatized human life. Freedom for me means returning home. It's the opportunity to walk down my own street and open the door of my house. It's the opportunity to bring my parents back to our house. My dad hides his pain by painting pictures. I'd like to present this painting to you. This is the Ukrainian Bereginya, created by my dad. He is 73 years old. It's a symbol of female power, the power that protects Ukraine, our homes, our children, and our native land. It's about women's love and desire for peace in our country. So, concluding my speech, I understand my time is up. I want to say that it's very important for me to be here and now among you, because Ukraine is fighting for freedom and those very democratic values that are cultivated by the United States of America and all European countries. For freedom, for truth, for life. This is our common struggle. After all, God acts through the hands of ordinary people. Because peace is not a dream. It's a very difficult, definitely not an easy path, step by step, hand in hand, with prayer in our hearts, together. Together, our voices are strong. In God, we trust. Amen. And God hears us.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Taking this opportunity, I will steal 5 more minutes. I'd like to convey gratitude from the Ukrainian Parliament, from the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, to Pastor Mark Burns for his sincere Ukrainian soul and big Ukrainian heart. And I also want to convey gratitude to Captain Gary Tabach, an American military man who fights for our victory every day on the Ukrainian front. Thank you, Gary. He's a great friend of Ukraine.
Thank you very much, Yulia. And next, I'm proud to introduce Captain Gary Tabach, a retired United States Navy captain who has dedicated his life to service, honor, and the defense of freedom.
Thank you. Yes, there are 2 things I like to talk about: leadership and myself. So, my parents took me out of evil empire when I was a teenager, and I came to the United States. Those of you who are grabbing phones to call ICE, please relax. I am a legal immigrant. So, after a couple of years in the United States, I heard President Reagan talk about evil empire. I knew it was evil empire. I did not know at that time how to fight evil. I only knew that it was evil and I had to fight it. The only way as a teenager I knew how to fight is to join the best, the largest nuclear navy in the world. And I joined the United States Navy, and 26 years later I said, wait, is this over? It was over. In 2014, my best buddy died. I went to Israel. I leaned my forehead against a wailing wall, and I saw a note. I opened up my eyes. I was talking to God, and I'm not a very religious man. And I saw a note there says, pray for Ukraine. I knew who Russians are. I knew how evil they were. I remembered the words of President Reagan. I said, I'll go to Ukraine just for one day. Take one wounded soldier out of there. I showed up there, and I'm there for 12 years already. And people ask me, why? Why are you doing it? You were born in Russia, you're a Jew. What is that in Ukraine? I couldn't answer it. Could never answer it except it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do to help people that are being killed and murdered by the people I know that can do it very, very precisely. And then I had hope. I thought I was the only one that was doing it. Nobody could understand me. Then I had hope when President Trump became a president and started to fight evil too. Then he left, and I was discouraged, but I stayed in Ukraine. Then he came back, and I said, God gave us a third choice. If we're going to screw this one up, God is not going to give us another choice. 3 strikes and out. And I wanted to go to his inauguration. That's all I wanted to do. And a good, old chief rabbi of Ukraine says, you're going to go with me to his inauguration. And I went to his inauguration. It was a great thing that ever happened in my life. Then he took me to the Pierce School, where the people were giving speeches, you know, peace, love, peace, you know, and everybody was sitting there, you know. But the crowd was kind of like yours, all kinds of people from all over the world. And then this black man gets up and he delivers a speech. And everybody wakes up and the whole room is going. And I said, that's leadership. That is leadership. When the whole crowd is crying, laughing at the same time, and he's leading them anywhere he wants to. That's leadership. And I wanted to shake this man's hand. And I wanted to give him my challenge coin. But the crowd was so big, they were crowding him all over the place. And I shook his hand. The rabbi, good old rabbi, took me by hand, says, let's go. And I shook his hand and said, thank you for your service. And somebody pushed me away, and that's it. That was all over. Then one night, the rabbi calls me and says, come to Anatevka. I'm like, oy vey, I got to go to Anatevka. It's cold, it's curfew. We're going to pray, we're going to do tefillin, we're going to do all this, eat kosher food. And all. So I showed up. The rabbi said I should show up. In a cold room, it's sirens, it's bombings. And in the morning I wake up, it's cold, and I see these 2 little ladies in the hallway, American ladies. And they go, good morning, yeah. What they're doing here in the middle of this war and doing this. And always they hear, Captain! And I turn around, and here he is, standing there with their arms. He says, Captain, it's good to see you. He remembered me. He hugs me, and I'm like, what is this black dude from some Carolinas doing in Ukraine? What does he has to do with Ukraine? It's beyond me. I have no idea. Then we go to places of atrocities. He goes, and this is before cameras. This is before Ukrainians start giving him medals, and there were cameras. It's just us, right? Right, April? She was a witness there. Veronica, right? It was you. You girls were there, ladies. You were there, and freezing because I kept thinking they have no insulation on them, and it's cold. And I see this leadership there. He's talking to old babushkas, to the kids, to everyone. There is no show. It's sincere. It's deep. And this is where I get my answer, because I ask him, what the hell are you doing here? What do you have to do with Ukraine? That is because we're fighting evil. Because my people were victims of evil. His people were victims of evil. Our people were victims of evil. And we, people of leadership, cannot sit there and watch others die and freeze to death. We have to be all together. We have to rally together. We have to rally around our leaders, around our national leader, around our world leader, President Trump, and around our spiritual leaders, Rabbi Osman, and around our total leader, altogether leader, Pastor Burns. And somebody says, and I think Malcolm Luther King, that you quote so often, said it too. It's attributed to many people. All that evil needs to win is to have a lot of good people do nothing about it. And it's a leader who's going to say, no, stop. It's not going to go through me. You're not going to go through while we're on the watch, right? But give me an amen. Give me an amen, Pastor. Give me an amen. I'm going to be a black preacher doing that.
Yes, you are. We all do.
And as a slave, Ukrainian recruit, soldier slave as well, but a very talented poet, a very famous poet, and an artist, Taras Shevchenko, said, "Fight and you shall win. Fight and you'll be successful." And we're going to fight. Yes. We're going to fight. We're going to rally around the people who are going to be, and I'm very, very proud that I can stay shoulder to shoulder, back to back with Pastor Burns, with President Trump, fighting that evil. Unfortunately, Pastor, I cannot fight any longer the way I used to do. I cannot hold a weapon in my hands anymore. But you give me another weapon. You give me a spiritual weapon. So I want to return the favor. I want to return the favor. I want to present you with my weapon. Unfortunately, I couldn't. I almost got arrested because our Capitol Police told me I cannot bring a weapon into this building, so my friend smuggled just the sheath. But this is a Ukrainian Cossack saber. That is actually our Marine saber. You can look it up. Is similar to it. Hurrah! Exactly. And when I'm going to salute the good pastor, and I'm going to present that with him, I want you all give me a hoorah. Okay. You want to drop down your face and give me 20? Come on. Give me a hoorah.
Your prayers. I want you to pray for Brother Gary here because he's been considered for the next U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. So let's keep him in prayer. Amen. Let's keep him in prayer.
Give me a hoorah for my brothers in arms.
Героям слава. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Marina Ovtsinova, the president of ALLATRA International Public Movement, a global risk strategy specialist who has studied in Harvard Kennedy School of Government and Harvard Law School.
Amen. Wow.
Good day, dear friends. It's such a pleasure to see you all here, representative of different beliefs, different political views, different nationalities. It's such a big pleasure to stay here in front of you and deliver a very important message. As a president of ALLATRA International Public Movement, we are so grateful for this opportunity to be here. And we are grateful to Pastor Burns for everything he is doing for the entire planet, for every single person, because he has unique ability. He developed very, very important initiative, spiritual diplomacy. And this initiative can go through all walls, go through borders, and can unite people of different political views, different religion, different social status, because it focuses on the very, very important and fundamental issues: freedom, human dignity, and peace.
Yes.
And thank you so much, Pastor Burns, for your dedication, your love to Ukraine, for your support to the Ukrainian people in the darkest of time. Without your support, we will not be able to be where we are. So the fight for Ukraine is going every single day, and we understand that it's not only the front line, it's everywhere. The front line for Ukraine is everywhere. Here in the Congress, in the Senate, in the churches,
Yes.
in a public meeting, because that's the fight, not only Ukrainian fight, it's our fight. Because like Pastor Burns choose the name for the conference that we hear, freedom has a name and it's called Ukraine. And that's absolutely true. So if we lose that fight, we lose the freedom in the entire world. And knowing that I will be able to talk and my voice will be heard by millions of people, I would like to say something very important. But before I proceed, I would like to say something simple and something human. So for those of you who travel here, I truly hope that your family are safe, your children can sleep peacefully. And in your neighborhood, the most disturbing sound is the sound of barking dogs. So nothing else. So that's very, very important. And unfortunately, I would like to take you out of this comfort zone deliberately, because you need to understand Ukraine. You need to feel Ukraine in order to support it. So after the Russian missile strike on the night of 18th on the Ukrainian city of Chernobyl, rescue workers pulled a woman from the rubble of the residential home. And as they were pulling her out, she was tearfully, desperately pleading with the rescue workers. And you will never guess what she was asking them. When they tried to help her, through pain and tears,
Bless your heart. Bless your heart.
she was keep saying, "Don't save me. I beg you. I just watch my son burn.
My God.
And I need to hear you this one more time. A mother being pulled from the ruins of her own home, begging the rescue not to save her life because her child was just killed before her eyes. And here what's happened next. Ukrainian mother began to share this on the social media, not for the fame, not for the political purposes, but to share the message that from now on, every night they will sleep with their kids. Not because to keep them warm, because it's extremely cold in Ukraine, but only because if the missile will strike or drone strikes their home, their body will protect their child, and they will do everything possible in order to protect their children. And that's the essence of Ukraine, protection. You need to understand that there is something that do not end with Ukrainian mothers. Protection is the nature of the Ukrainian nation. This instinct, this first desperate, beautiful instinct to protect is everywhere in Ukraine. So Ukrainian volunteers create the point of invincibility, shelter with warmth, with electricity, where everybody who needs help can come and will receive the help. And these volunteers create those shelters for the people that they don't know. They do it to protect. Ukrainian medics run towards explosion, not away from it, but towards, and they do it to protect people that are affected right now. Ukrainian teachers, they educate children in the basement, in the metro station. They do that because they understand they want to protect the future of Ukrainian nation. And the Ukrainian soldiers, sons, daughters, fathers, and mothers stand on the front lines not for glory, but so that people behind them can live one more day. And they do that to protect. To protect millions of Ukraine, millions of decisions every single day, and these decisions are to protect a neighbor, a stranger, a child that they never seen before. And here, what you need to understand about the protection. and you need to hear this. Millions of Ukrainians, millions of heroes right now are protecting not just Ukraine. They are protecting freedom itself. The very idea of freedom, the precious, fragile, but infinitely valuable idea that free people have the right to choose their own future.
Yes.
And behind the tragedies and the pain of all Ukrainians stands not merely a terrorist state, Russia. Behind it stands a specific individual, a war criminal who has fancied himself a god, Vladimir Putin. He uses mass terror against civilians as the matter of policy, and this is his method. He kills the people of Ukraine to achieve the goals he desires. And like Pastor Burns said today, and if this method employed by tyrant who holds the nuclear launch button is rewarded, can you imagine the kind of world we will be forced to live in? The kind of world the United States would face, the world our children will inherit. That's why Ukrainians support their freedom, their fight. And that's not a charity. It is deterrence.
Yes.
It's a strengthening security, stability, and the resilience of democratic institutions. It is reducing the chance that American troops will face a larger war later, because dictators doesn't stop when they succeed. They stop only when we stop them. And this is exactly why today all of Ukraine organizes itself around one word: to protect. Protect their own people and the entire free world. And this is precisely why Russian propaganda works so aggressively to flip reality, claiming that Ukraine is not worth it, that Ukraine is weak, that Ukraine is hopeless. Because if you believe this propaganda, you will turn away from Ukraine. And when you turn away, what happens? Russian terror wins quietly. Through disinformation, lies, and fabricated narrative, the aggressor seeks to weaken Ukrainians' allies and partners' support. And this is why Russian information terrorism is not a secondary concern. It is another frontier of this hybrid war. Russia wages war not only with missiles, it wages war with lies. And these lies operate across Europe, across America, and to our great sorrow, even within Ukraine itself. And I know that not from hearsay. Our organization, ALLATRA, has been helping Ukraine since 2014. Our Ukrainian volunteers serve on the front lines, work in evacuation center, volunteer on humanitarian mission. They do this quietly, without advertisement, without banners, but they're there because they need to save Ukrainian people, their people. And here in the United States, ALLATRA do everything possible to help Ukraine, interacting with Congress, Senate, State Department, and of course, our scientific and human rights work is supported around the world too. But do you know which is the only country in the world that has banned ALLATRA? Can you guess? Russia. Of course, Russia. The only country where our volunteers systematically persecuted, tortured, thrown into prison. Russia. Why? Because we speak the truth about Putin's Nazi regime, because we speak the truth about the threat of the Siberian plume, which they want hide from an entire world, and because we support Ukraine. And this about that. The Kremlin considers us such a big threat that it launched full-scale persecution against us. Seeking to remove strong players from the board, Kremlin agents around the world spread lies about our organization. They call us pro-Russian sect. Absurd? Yes, it is. But unfortunately, absurdity, that is work. And because if you open the internet today, Ukrainian media, European media, you will find articles calling ALLATRA pro-Russian. The very same organization that Russia has banned and destroying, the very same organization whose volunteers sitting in jail and being subject to torture in Russian prison. And this false narrative is being spread by FSB agent. This is a documented fact. In 2024, a report presented in Washington exposed the method and tactic of Russian disinformation. It was prepared with the participants of American and international experts, as well as officials of Security Service of Ukraine and the Office of the Prosecutor General of Ukraine. The report directly named agent of Russian informational influence network in Ukraine who organized disinformation campaigns and criminal prosecution against ALLATRA. The report identifies Irina Krymenovska, a Ukrainian citizen, as an agent of Russian influence. Beyond our organization, she attempted to discredit Ukrainian religious scholars who were defending Ukrainian spiritual independence from Moscow, and to lobby pro-Russian policies into Ukrainian legislation. But she's not alone, it's a network, we need to understand that. So there is no single player. So these FSB agents have infiltrated in Ukraine institution. They influence journalists, they spread Russian disinformation throughout society. But here's what's important. Ukraine, despite all of that, is a real democracy. And in this democracy, just a few days ago, the national police officially recognized us, ALLATRA, as the victim of illegal attempt to destroy our organization. So, yes.
Congratulations, yes.
Thank you. And you need to understand that despite such difficult times, democracy in Ukraine works. Truth break through. But agents of Russian influence have not stopped. They operate not only in Ukraine, but in Europe, and unfortunately here in the United States as well. And they continue to spread Kremlin's propaganda, which unfortunately you often hear in the media. That's why when you hear that Ukraine is divided, that Ukraine is losing, the Ukrainians want to surrender, or ALLATRA is the pro-Russian or pro-Putin sect, please remember that. You need to understand that what you hear is the Putin Russian propaganda. And I ask you, don't believe it. Instead, believe Ukrainian mothers who protect their children from Russian drones and Russian missiles. Believe Ukrainian volunteers who deliver medical supply under the fire, and Ukrainian field medics who perform very difficult operation under the drone attack without electricity. Believe ALLATRA volunteers who are supporting Ukraine and being tortured in the prison in the Russian Federation. Believe the Ukrainian defenders on the front lines who share effort, literally sparing no part of their bodies, their very lives, every day bravely defend our rights, yours and mine, to live in the free and civilized world where tyranny has no place. Because this is what Ukraine is: brave, free, honest. Ukraine is people held together not by fear, but by mutual support, not by propaganda, but by truth, not by hatred, but by the responsibility for one another. Ukraine is the people driven by a pure, noble instinct to protect the innocent, to protect human life, to protect the good. So, how can we stop Russian information warfare? Only with truth. We can expose it. We can forge a path to the truth by not believing the lies and by acting for Ukrainians' benefits. And we, ALLATRA, have been doing that since 2014. We do this under fire, under torture, under slander, and we will continue to do this. And we will do it around the world, here in the United States, in Europe, and in any country we go. We will fight for Ukraine's future, defend her rights, her choice, and her freedom. And here I want to return to the man who does this every day, who does so much for Ukraine and who made this very event possible. Pastor Burns, we remember your words when you came back from Ukraine and you spoke honestly and openly that before you went to Ukraine, you were thinking as the Russian propaganda gave you the information. But after you went there and you saw it with your eyes, you changed your mind. And from this point, you will never believe the propaganda that the Russian authorities spread. Here also. And the very important moment that people around the world support your initiative. And they support you because you are the one who not talks, but who acts. One small step that you made is far greater than millions of hours of empty talks. And I know that Pastor Burns is a very modest person. And I would like to share something that he would never share by himself. So, you know that Pastor Burns is the only one pastor in the world that has support of representative of all religion and all denomination. And even more, the atheist also supports him. People believe in Pastor Burns because of his action, because he is doing more than he is saying. And this is very important. And every time when he starts the Spiritual Diplomacy Conference, he said, if you're here for a picture, I don't need you. That's right. And this is very, very important. So that's why people follow Pastor Burns. And like he said today, it's the action. It's not only having the pin here. So we need to act. And we really, really appreciate your support of Ukraine. It's very, very needed today. So that's why keep working and we will support you in all the action. So today we had a lot of different speakers and we heard different parts of Ukrainian life. And I was really touched by Pani Yulia, representative of Ukrainian parliament. And I truly, truly believe that the sound of Ukrainian voice that you heard today, you bring home. So you will remember this melody, the melody of the spirit of freedom, dignity, and the protection. Unfortunately, right now, in order to protect their freedom and freedom of the entire world right now, Ukrainian nation paying very, very high price. They pay with the life of their children, the families, the future of the families. we need to understand that they're paying this price not for themselves, but for us, for the international order that provides your children with safety. We need to understand and remember that when Ukraine stands firm, the idea stands firm that power does not give the right to destroy your neighbor. When Ukraine holds, the principle holds that a human being matters more than the imperial ambition of one tyrant. And that is why this war is not just a war over territory. It's a war over what the world will be. A world where freedom matters, a world where the power and ambition of one tyrant decides everything. Now, dear friends, I want you to think and leave you with this. Ukraine today is fighting for all of us. And when our grandchildren will ask us, what did you do when the fate of freedom was being decided? I truly hope that the answer of each of us will be, we stood with Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. Slava Україні.
Героям слава! Now we are asked to join us for a minute of silence to honor those who gave their lives in Ukraine for a free future for all of us. Please, 1 minute of silence. Thank you very much. Now let's proceed. Help me to welcome our next speaker, Mr. Pavlo Frolov, a member of the Parliament of Ukraine, where he has advocated for the protection of Ukrainian refugee rights, ensuring that displaced Ukrainians receive the support and legal protection they need and deserve.
Thank you very much, Pastor Burns, Marina, for the invitation. Dear friends, it's an honor for me to speak to you today. People of different faiths, nationalities, and political views are gathered here around one shared value, human dignity. The words "freedom has a name, Ukraine" are not a slogan. They describe real life. Yes. Today, Ukraine is defending not only its land, it is defending freedom itself, a principle without which there can be no peace and no justice. We must be honest with ourselves. Good decisions are only good if they actually save lives, not only in theory, but in practice. I often think about what Russians feel when they launch missiles and drop bombs, killing children, elderly, destroying energy system, leaving families without heat in coldest winter. Some may believe they are serving a greater cause. Others may think they are simply doing their jobs. And this is the tragedy of propaganda, when millions are taught to accept suffering and death for people who share faith but not citizenship. We have to fix this. Yes. I was born in Kryvyi Rih in southern Ukraine. For many years, people there had a generally positive attitude toward Russia. Almost no one believes that Russia was capable of what it is doing today. But there were people who understood the true imperial nature of that state. My colleague Sergei Yankovsky in 2008 warned that a large-scale war with Russia would come. I remember the most intensive dispute in my life. He told me that war was inevitable. I refused to believe it. Sadly, he was right, and in just 2 weeks, we are about to enter the 5th year of this full-scale war. Spiritual diplomacy speaks to conscience, where traditional diplomacy focuses mainly on interests. It reminds us that human life, truth, and compassion are not optional. They are the moral foundation of any policy. Faith leaders and moral voices help humanize the reality of this war. They move our focus away from numbers back to people. In the case of Ukraine, spiritual diplomacy strengthens solidarity with civilians and the oppressed. And most importantly, it does not allow the world to become used to evil. Years of war have brought enormous destruction to Ukraine. According to a joint assessment by the World Bank, European Commission, United Nations, and the government of Ukraine, the cost of recovery and reconstruction reached $524 billion by the end of 2024. It is 1.75 times higher than the total value of frozen Russian assets in the West. It is also equal to 11 annual pre-war budgets of Ukraine. And I want to stress this clearly. This figure includes only material damage. It does not include the damage to human life, health, and dignity. In the Ukrainian parliament, I serve as the head of the Commission on the Right of Internally Displaced Persons, that is IDPs, and other war victims. My colleagues and I work with those who need help the most. This includes 4.5 million IDPs inside Ukraine, 6.9 million refugees abroad, about 6 million Ukrainians living under occupation. More than 6 million Ukrainians have lost their homes fully or partially. To understand the scale, this is roughly the population of US state, Maryland or Missouri, or entire population of Bulgaria. The world has not seen such destruction since the Second World War. At the same time, much has already been done. Ukraine has become the first country in the world to launch an international compensation mechanism for war victims before the war has even ended. Within the framework of the Council of Europe, the International Register of Damage for Ukraine has already been created. The Compensation Commission has also been launched and is expected to start reviewing victims' claims next year. In Ukraine, we are doing everything we can to help people survive the war. We have implemented dozens of state programs to support more than 1.5 million of most vulnerable people. There is still a great deal of work ahead. Helping victims of the war is not a temporary charity. It is a long-term moral and social responsibility for the Ukrainian state and for our international partners. Now, the most important thing for us is to establish a sustainable, long-lasting and just peace. Peace means more than a ceasefire. It means restoring lives, communities, and human dignity. But recovery is impossible without security. If the aggressor keeps the ability to attack again, rebuilding turns into endless repairs under constant threat to new destruction. Ukraine's struggle reminds the world that freedom always has a human face. When moral voices stand together, suffering can be turned into hope and solidarity into peace. The ideal end of this war would be a transformation of Russia through the collapse of its imperial essence, or through nuclear disarmament that would eliminate blackmail and future aggression. This is not realistic under current conditions, So we must act now to ensure that Russia does not have the resources to continue this war. This means severely limiting Russia's financial and technological capacity through strong sanction, export control, and real enforcement. Army in Ukraine saw that the cost of new aggression becomes unbearable for Russia, and building a lasting system of support and deterrence. We believe that forces of freedom and justice stand with Ukraine. We are very grateful for the effort of President Trump and Congress to stop aggression. Please do not let fatigue win. Fatigue is exactly that the aggressor is counting on. Our shared resilience is the path to a just peace. Slava Ukraini. And Mr. Pastor Burns, I want to invite also you to Ukraine, to the parliament, and Marina. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Vitaly Orlov, co-founder of Ukrainian Week in Washington, D.C., and coordinator of the prayer movement Intercessors for Ukraine.
Thank you, dear friends. Thank you, Pastor Burns, for invitation. For me, it's a big privilege
to be with you here today. And today, Ukraine is going through incredibly difficult times. If we could put the presentation on the screen. Because weak leaders lead to hard times. Hard times bring leaders together and make them strong. Strong leaders lead to easy times. And, unfortunately, easy times lead to weak leadership. Unfortunately, these are the consequences of weak leadership. When voices needed to be raised for the truth, for Ukraine, against the dictator sitting in the Kremlin. Today, thousands of cities and villages in Ukraine are in this kind of condition. Why? Because we are at the epicenter of a spiritual battle. And as it says in the Bible, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Today, Iranian drones, which are assembled in Russia, are bombing Ukrainian cities, just as they once bombed Israel. Ukraine is on the front line today, on the border between Christian Western civilization and Eastern dictatorial civilization, where there's no complete freedom. How evil has united. Today, it is necessary for spiritual people, Christians, to unite as well. And we are very grateful to Pastor Burns for raising his voice for the truth. Churches are also under attack in Ukraine. Russia has destroyed or severely damaged more than 700 churches in Ukraine. In the Ukrainian territories occupied by Russia, they are seizing church buildings. On the left side is a Baptist church in the city of Melitopol, which the Russian army seized and turned into a military museum. And there are hundreds of churches like this. Wherever Russia comes, they raise communist idols and monuments again. They cut down crosses and put their flags in their place. Over these 4 years, the Russian military has killed 70 Ukrainian pastors and priests. This is my friend Yuri, a pastor who came to his church in Kupiansk for morning prayer. As soon as the prayer service ended and the people left, he stayed behind. Then an aerial bomb hit the house of prayer right into the church and killed Pastor Yuri. This is a spiritual battle. So today, we need to raise the voice of spiritual diplomacy in order to clearly understand that what Putin and the Kremlin bring is death and the destruction of Christian shrines. Today, Russia is investing $2.4 billion in the United States in its propaganda to spread lies about the situation in Ukraine. We often hear that there's no freedom for churches in Ukraine, among other lies. This photo shows the central street of Kiev, where 500,000 Christians gathered to praise God. Ukraine has the largest prayer breakfast movement in Europe, second only to the United States. Last year, Pastor Burns prayed together with President Zelensky at the National Prayer Breakfast. Today, Bible readings and prayers take place regularly in 90 government offices. This is a spiritual battle, and for spiritual victory, we need to raise the voice of prayer and the voice of spiritual diplomacy. And today, we have presented each of you with my book, Great God in the Terrible War in Ukraine. It's specifically about the spiritual causes of this horrible war. In conclusion, let me say that last year, Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine voted to establish a national day of prayer at the legislative level. On February 24th, we will pray together for Ukraine as a whole country, everyone together, from the president to the children. And today, I would like to officially invite Pastor Mark Burns to come to Ukraine on this very day. To pray with the President of Ukraine in the morning. To participate in a solemn prayer gathering in the Ukrainian parliament, and to be with Ukrainian people on this difficult day. Why is it difficult? Because on that day, the full-scale war and invasion began. Pastor Burns, thank you sincerely for what you are doing for Ukraine, and we invite you again and again to visit Ukraine for special events.
Amen.
Welcome. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Slava Ukraini.
Now I would like to invite Mr. Artem Saulyak, an interpreter from Ukraine, and Petro Voloshenko to the podium.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Let me thank you for being here, for all supporting our country and our people. Many thanks to the organizers of this event, Marina, her team, and Pastor Burns for his prayers and support. Thank you so much. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. We have a family business in Ukraine. And I want to convey to you how hard it is for our entrepreneurs and our employees to work when Kiev and the entire Ukraine are being bombed, yet they still get to work and work nonetheless. I'm here to thank all of you for such support, for everything you are doing, especially Pastor Burns. This is very important because our nation, our people, feel this deeply. This is incredibly important. Pastor Burns, we would like to present a gift to you from our people, from Ukraine. This gift was made at our factory by our craftsmen in our family business. This is a unique ergonomic chair. So when you sit in this chair, you will remember about our Ukraine, about our people and our employees who go to work every day and are working right now, while Ukraine and Kiev are being bombed.
Wow! Wow! Oh, wow! That's for me? Oh, my Lord!
This chair is made entirely by hand, by our Ukrainians, by our employees.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Thank you so
I
much.
really appreciate it. Thank you for your help, for your support, our country.
Wow.
This is very, very important.
I'm so humbled. Thank you.
you.
Oh. Wow. I don't know what to say. Wow. This is amazing. Wow. How you feel? I think President Trump is going to be real jealous when he sees us.
Every time you sit in this chair, think of Ukraine.
Yes, of Ukraine. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Wow. Woo. That is amazing. Thank you.
Once again, a big thank you to you all. Have a good day.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank Pastor Burns for his tremendous work. I know of no other pastor in the world who has fought so hard for Ukraine and its freedom. I believe if all pastors in the world had united in a single diplomacy, like in the Spiritual Diplomats initiative, and stood as a united front for freedom across the globe, then only truth would prevail in the struggle. There would never be wars, and people and children would not be dying. Once again, I want to thank everyone present, and above all, Pastor Burns for his work. He is a true energizer who inspires us to keep fighting and to continue the struggle until the victory of Ukraine and the truth.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mykola Kuleba. Actually, among the greatest crimes, of Russia's war against Ukraine has been as you've heard already today, was the abduction of Ukrainian children. Turned from their families, taken to Russia, and subject to forced adoption and re-education. And this is the crime against humanity, a crime against innocence itself. And our next speaker has dedicated himself to bringing these children home. Welcome, Mr. Mykola Kuleba, who is CEO and co-founder of Save Ukraine, an organization working tirelessly to locate, recover, and reunite abducted Ukrainian children with their families.
Dear friends of Ukraine, distinguished guests, I'm very honored to participate. Thank you, Pastor Burns. And if you can show a video first, I'll be so grateful. And then I'll speak.
The Russians stole my child's childhood.
I didn't see my son for 2 years and 7 months.
Over 19,000 Ukrainian children have been abducted and taken to Russia, and over 1 million remain trapped in Russian-controlled territories.
Russia's strategy to erase Ukraine as a nation is to wage war on our children.
That's why they are tearing families apart, featuring younger children in catalogs before they disappear into orphanages or Russian families, while older youth are turned into Russian soldiers and sent to the front lines to fight against their own people. Those who were rescued testify that even in kindergarten, Russians train children for war to fight against Ukraine and NATO.
We will fight for every child who remains under occupation or has been taken to the Russian Federation.
Every rescue mission requires careful planning and coordination. Save Ukraine's team stays in constant contact with families, from the very first call to the long-awaited reunion with their families. We do whatever it takes to bring them home, no matter the danger.
And in those hugs, in those tears, you can see how much they've suffered, what the children endured, and what their relatives went through as they searched, unable to call or bring them back.
Thanks to our partners' support, we built the Underground Railroad and rescued 1,135 children.
Our mission is to bring them home, reunite them with their families, help them heal from their trauma. our work is far from over.
Thank you for helping our family reunite. After 3.5 long years apart, I finally got to see my child again. And finally, we are together again.
Thank you, friends. And as you heard, Save Ukraine for today rescued 1,141 kids and from Russia and temporary occupied territories. And today we are bringing witness to one of the gravest crimes in our century: the systematic abduction, trafficking, and militarization of Ukrainian children by the Russian Federation. Our children continue to suffer a biblical scale plague inflicted by a modern-day Pharaoh. So imagine your child walking into school in your country and being told you may no longer speak your language, only Russian. Your American name or your country's name is forbidden. From today, you will raise a Russian flag, swear loyalty to Russia and Putin, and study from books that say that your country never existed. From today, you are told that you have to believe not in God, but in our leader named Putin. And we just rescued last week one boy who told us that every day his school teacher told him, "We want to kill all Americans in the name of Jesus." Imagine teachers wearing that speaking your child's native language is extremism. And imagine your child being sent to a summer camp where they crawl under barbed wire, through grenades, and are taught that you, their own family, are the enemy. At least 20,000 children have been abducted by Russia. They have been militarized or deported to Russia and trafficked into Russian families. The Russians have made it very difficult to track our children. They are stripped of their names, birthday, language, faith, and families. This is a deliberate strategy to erase their identities and Ukraine's future. More than 1.6 million Ukrainian children are now imprisoned behind Russian new Iron Curtain that has descended across Ukraine, and they indoctrinated to believe that the USA and NATO countries are the true enemies which they have to fight now and forever. Save Ukraine is providing a full spectrum of services to children in need, from organizing dozens of dangerous rescue missions inside Russia and occupied territories, across thousands of miles through the Underground Railroad. It continues with the holistic medical, mental, and trauma recovery and safe and safer integration of children and families into local Ukrainian communities. Save Ukraine has documented testimonies of each of the 1,141 children we have rescued. It is clear that Russia's efforts are designed to hurt and destroy entire families. Punishment for resistance is severe and deliberate, intended to instill fear. They describe streets filled with Russian soldiers, armored vehicles at every corner, and parents terrified to let their children go outside because the military presence is everywhere. 15-year-old Sasha told us how one day Russian soldiers grabbed him off the street, put him in a truck, and forced him to dig trenches every day. Girls constantly report harassment and intimidation by Russian soldiers. Homes are raided at any hour of the day or night. Children tell us they must keep their phones clean at all time, deleting messages, photos, anything that could reveal their Ukrainian identity, because a single image or conversation can lead to brutal consequences. I just talked with one boy who'd been rescued from Lugansk under 11 years of occupation, and he told he was really afraid to go outside his house. It is 11 years of life in constant fear. And I'm asking you to continue your prayers. I can tell you tons of stories about how children suffer in occupied territories, and still hundreds of thousands of children in Russia's trap. And we need your prayers, and please stand with us. We believe that this war for our children, for our families, and we want to pray together every day, and we believe that God will protect us. Thank you very much. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Detective Kedrick Schriepner. Please welcome to the podium.
Thank you, Pastor Burns, for allowing me to come and speak. My name is Kedrick Scribner, and I'm the founder of the Kedrick Scribner Foundation. We support the widows and orphans of the fallen heroes of the Nigerian police force. And when you talk about widows and orphans, in Ukraine, I've seen the devastation. Do you know what it's like especially being in law enforcement, doing death notifications? But with what I'm seeing in Ukraine, it is horrible. And the families that are left, torn apart, children displaced, that just burdens my heart.
Yeah.
And I'm praying for the widows and the orphans, because when you lose a father, when you lose a husband, you have to fend for yourself. You have to protect the children if they're still there with you. And it's just a horrible thing. So I pray with all of the Ukrainians. I pray with the widows and orphans. And I just pray that you pray with me as I pray with them. Also, Pastor Burns, I will do a donation.
Oh, wow.
To the orphans. So thank you so much for this opportunity. God bless you all. And please pray for the widows and orphans of Ukraine.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And now, to send us forth with purpose and with fire, I invite back to the stage the man whose vision made this day possible.
Thank you.
A spiritual leader that believes that faith without action is incomplete. So please welcome to the stage Pastor Mark Burns.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, thank you. I promise you we won't be long. Thank you so much. Give yourself a big hand clap for being advocates for Ukraine. And I see so many wonderful faces, so many spiritual diplomacy pins that are out there. It means a lot that many of you who already had one from our first event showed up today. And that means a lot to your commitment. You're not just talking about it, you're being about it. There's so much work to be done. I know we're going to be leading delegations to Ukraine. We'll be reaching out to all of you to come and be a part. We're getting ready for Pakistan. Again, as I said the last time, we're going to be asking you to come out. But also here in America, we're leading a delegation to Chicago. Right here in the United States of America, there are issues with lead and there's issues with mold. And so we're needing all of you spiritual diplomats who are strong and you have a voice and you want to actually help in the communities around the world, including here in the U.S., we'll be calling on to you. You'll be getting text messages and you'll be getting emails. Make sure you respond and let us know that you're making yourself available. Again, thanks so much to ALLATRA and to all that they're doing, Ms. Marina, the president, and Ms. Valerie, Director of Communications. all of the wonderful speakers that came from all over the world and those who are supporting Ukraine. And again, the hard work that those are doing, Ms. Olga's out there from Creative Society. And again, spiritual diplomacy is not just a word, it's an action, it's a verb. And we need you to join the team. Right after this is over, for those who were not able to pin, I will quickly, briefly pin as many that have already taken the oath of office, and so that way we can dismiss. But again, thank you all so much. We got so much we got to do. Thank you all for being here, for being a spiritual diplomat. God bless you all, and I hope to meet you all real soon. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.